Whoa.
Good evening and welcome to KZGN Ridgecrest Talk, the Thursday evening edition. I'm your co-host, Robert Eierman, along with Al Huey. And tonight we have a very slender Councilman, Jim Sanders, and also Scott Lehey. Jim Sanders will be here momentarily. He got hung up. But before we get into this evening's discussion, I wanted to voice some clarification from last week's show. During that show, I mentioned that the candidates had expressed their view of listening to the voters, and that came from the forums, the winning candidates. And I wanted to mention that that was a shorthand version of saying the forums and their other candidate appearances and what was in the newspaper, because Mr. Maurer was not a participant in the council forums. But I also want to mention that when I said that all three of those elected had strongly said that they wanted to listen to the people, that was not at the exclusion of any of the other candidates, some of which also had that mantra in their campaign. In fact, Mr. Tom Wicknick, who finished second in the mayoral race, not only had that as his campaign mantra, but for years he has appeared at council meetings urging the council to do just that. So like I said, it was not mutually exclusive. That wasn't the losers didn't say that. And one other thing, I had said that Mayor-elect Breeden won in a landslide, in fact a mandate landslide. And it was pointed out to me that although that's a true statement, it's also true that although she garnered 45% of the vote, she also lost 55% of the vote. So more people, quote, voted against her than did vote for her. I don't agree with that perspective, but it is a valid perspective. So I just wanted to share that before we
Especially
went
since
on.
not one candidate got 55%.
Right. It was
She doubled.
55%.
She more than doubled the next
Closest.
closest person.
Right. And
which was Tom. So I would have to say that's pretty mandate-like. Just
Yes.
to interject my opinion.
appreciate that. But I did want to share that since I had been talked to about that, and so I wanted to mention it. This evening, shortly, Councilman Sanders will be here, and we have Mr. Scott Lehey here with us, and we're going to talk about the election results, and we'll maybe get on to some other things such as Ridgecrest Boulevard, such as...
Something going on there?
Not that I know of, but maybe you'll have something. So, relative to the local elections, what did you think of the results? Do you think that any statement was being made by the citizens?
Well, before we get to the results, what did you
okay.
think, leading up to the election? What were you hearing from your forum and people you talked to, and your observation of how the individuals, their campaigns went? Of course, you were here for the forums. You were our moderator, so.
I was not surprised at all by Peggy Breeden's win. First of all, I called that one a long time ago, and after I gave it some thought and I entertained other candidates for mayor. One of the actually, believe it or not, Mr. William Dale Howard, the gentleman who came in last, actually had a couple of answers during the candidate forums that we were all here for. Mr. Howard had a couple of answers that I really liked quite well, and I liked his response. If you recall, I'd like to explain it. Steve Morgan basically said he was of the opinion that you give the police chief anything that he wants. The police chief he gets carte blanche. If he says he needs it, he gets it. William Dale Howard, on the other hand, said that citizen oversight of the police and of everything else in government by elected officials is what should happen. And I'm actually against the what I'll call the militarization of our police forces, where we're starting to see police equipped like soldiers,
Yeah.
and every 911 call is a young war. So I liked William Dale Howard's answer on that, but unfortunately, I like zoning laws, and I believe zoning laws should be enforced. So I couldn't support him, but so I supported Peggy. The other candidates, I actually voted for Christina Witt. Christina Witt. In fact, I didn't vote for any other candidate, so it wouldn't dilute my vote. And the reason I did that, I disagree with her on just about everything imaginable. But she has courage, and she's a contrarian. And I really think that there has been far too much go along to get along on the council. People, walking down and doing these different things that, maybe.
Well, do you think that the not to jump to the results, but the three that we have now, do you think that attitude, approach might continue, or are you looking at?
No, my guess is that our and by the way, this is nothing against any of the other candidates. I'm hoping that we'll have some real responsiveness in the council, and that perhaps some of the things that have been done will be re-looked at. And I want the city to be run well, managed well, the laws followed, and just utilitarian, practical things done at the city. That's basically what a city is. There's really nothing too ideological about it one way or the other. It's simply, does the city work or not? Can you pay your bills or not? Is there public safety, streets, is there infrastructure, parks? All of those things are good functions, and I think everybody that's on the council understands that and wants to go that way. So that's, but I'm happy with the results, and I think they're all really fine people. It's I think they'll be good. So.
Okay, and one of the things that we want to talk about when we come back, hopefully Councilman Sanders will join us by then, is some of the things that have been said in like John Watson's editorial in the DI, and we'll get into that when we get back, because I'm getting word that we only have a few seconds. So please come back, join us after the break.
See you later. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk. Again, we're here talking to Mr. Scott Lehey, and Councilman Sanders just joined us. Again, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Other than when you first walked in.
Thank you.
We were talking about the elections before you got here. So we're just wondering, what did you think about, the candidate forums, the campaigns, and then the election on the 4th? What's your observation, opinion, position?
Well, it was a very interesting election. I mean, it complete turnover of the council in 2 years, and so, that's I don't know how long it's been since that's happened. This is pretty
1980s.
Pretty historic, I think.
Yeah,
so for Ridgecrest, anyways.
Yes.
So, and I think it kind of echoes the sentiments of the voters in 2012 when they voted for term limits. I mean, the idea is, I think people in general don't want to see long-term politicians in office, and that's kind of how the votes went this time. So all the incumbents went out, and we brought in new guys. So, and I think that'll be good to some extent. I am a little sad to see all the experience go away. I was hoping at least some experience would be retained, and a large majority would be new. But I mean, it's city government, and I think it'd be fun.
Those Councilman Morgan and Holloway, I would hope that they would reach out to those
Oh, yeah.
newly elected officials and pass on a lot of that information.
Yeah.
It should not just disappear. And
Or make themselves available and
Yeah.
say, hey,
Well,
this
I
is
know
my
I'll
phone
be-
number.
Some things can't be passed on, like chips and the League of California Cities.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Kern Council of Governments. We're going to be losing some basically tenured people. It's like kicking out the Speaker of the House, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that that's bad, but it's something that has to be taken into.
Yeah,
Right.
it is a loss, yeah. And so in terms of the city operations, I think we're going to be fine. That was my biggest concern, I think, was with the League of California Cities. You know, Chip had a position on the board of the league and a lot of influence within the league. And that's, in my opinion, that's a really important organization that we need to keep working in. So, yeah.
now, have you met with any of the newly elected?
Oh yeah, yeah. I met with Mike Maurer just earlier this week, and you know I know Peggy and Eddie both as well, and so you know just through business in the city we've been talking here and there for the past couple of years. So yeah.
Let's talk about something that the DI editor John Watson wrote about relative to his hope that with the new members of the council that there would be a renewed effort for the council to have better interchange with the citizens at council meetings.
Yeah.
With that response, I feel that you're in agreement with that and that that's something that needs to happen.
Well, I think there's a definite need for more interchange with the public in city business, not just on the side. What I would like to see more than anything happen is for certain committees to come back, because that's where we had a lot of interchange with the public and there was a lot of back and forth dialogue. And the idea was, we'd save the staff some time and effort and save the city some money by getting rid of the committees, and we'd bring all that to the city council. Well, that hasn't happened. And we were kind of trying to find ways to make it happen. In the formality of the city council, it just makes it really hard to have that dialogue. And so I'd like to bring some of the committees back to have that again.
How long would it take to get it back?
Oh, not long at all. It's just...
Could you get it on the agenda next time?
Yeah. I would like to wait till the new councils get seated, just to get everybody's input on that.
Well, there's only one more meeting, right? There's
Yeah.
one more
Yes.
meeting of this.
And
That's correct, yeah.
And then the new council will be seated on December.
First Wednesday of
First
December. Yeah.
Wednesday, December.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your point, but I would debate you and say that even without the committees, we can have a wonderful interchange between the council and the citizens. Now, I do want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Are you in any way given guidance or direction to not interchange with the public during either public comment or during an agenda item?
No, we've never been given guidance in terms of like the city manager or the city attorney. I've never gotten that. It's just kind of awkward. In public comment, people get up to give their comments, and if we want a dialogue, it feels kind of like we're interrupting their time to speak, and so it's just kind of awkward. I'm not sure how to engage in an actual dialogue.
In my opinion, there's no interruption. The person gets up and they have their 3 minutes, and then it's your turn to speak. You, the council. Whether it be one of you, 3 of you, all 5 of you, have an opportunity to speak to that member of the public and say, I agree, we should do something, I disagree, whatever.
Or defer it to a city manager if it's something the city manager needs to answer, or a department head,
Just so long as if a person from the public is addressed, then they have an opportunity to come back. That's been raised before that point.
Right.
In other words, if somebody goes up and then a council member tells them that they're full of beans or whatever,
refutes all their points.
Refutes all their points or whatever, then they should have an opportunity to come back. Don't you guys?
Yes,
I remember.
I
remember.
But what has
speaking about
happened
that.
in the past a lot used to be, not so much now, is they say, we'll get back to you on that. And they never
Or
get in touch
worse-
with the
or
worse than
person or
that.
never bring it back up at a council meeting.
Person gets up, speaks for 3 minutes, and the mayor or says, "Thank you."
Right.
Excuse me?
Really, it is. I think it belongs. The responsibility belongs to the mayor mostly, and also partly to the city manager to answer some of those questions. I think every city council member has a chance to
But
answer
if
some
they don't
questions.
do it,
If they don't,
then
yeah,
shouldn't
primarily
you as a
it's
council member redirect the question to them?
right. What I would really like to see happen is some of those inquiries that come up, instead of debating it in the meeting and taking up everybody's time, saying, you know what, that's going to be a great discussion item for the infrastructure committee. Let's bring that on, Tuesday night and come and let's have a lot more interchange about
We're
that.
going to have to go away
So-
to break. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we have commercials to do. So please join us again. Okay,
Right.
welcome back to the last segment of Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk. We've been talking about the election results with Councilman Jim Sanders and with Scott Lehey. I think that we have an incentive to move on to another topic, or you
No,
want
one
point?
more yet from John's article in the paper. His suggestion about moving the
Oh, yeah.
executive session from the beginning to the meeting to the end of the meeting. I'd be
Okay.
interested in knowing what your thought is. The point being, that's a half hour earlier, moving up the meeting that people that maybe not going to have to stick around a half hour later.
Right. No, that's a good point. And sometimes, I'm open to that idea. I hadn't really given it a lot of thought before now. I'll be honest with you, but there's some merit to that because a lot of times the closed session goes overtime anyways, and we have to really rush things in closed session to get out.
Well, I'd really
so,
be
yeah.
interested in hearing the new council talk about possibly changing it.
No, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, we'll definitely
Discuss it
Bring that
among the other members and see if,
see if there's an interest
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should we switch topics to
Let's do it.
Ridgecrest Boulevard?
Yeah.
And something I never heard of until I saw them, and that's called bulb outs.
Yeah.
And it certainly has caused a lot of consternation in the community.
That's one name for him. Of course, there's no. I won't go.
Yeah,
there.
there are
Yeah,
other names. I
There's a French name. It's Bulbu.
Well, I kind of think of Ridgecrest Boulevard as Morgan's Maze, but it's
I
but
thought you'd like that, Scott.
and I really
He poured
especially
his heart out into that
he did.
street.
he
and,
did, and
you know,
we owe that.
No, and I want to publicly acknowledge that the pavement is great.
Yes.
You're leading the discussion. You
No.
go ahead about the bulb outs or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, there are many facets of that project that are very nice.
Yes.
And it's
I-
the
There are some
experience.
business owners that would disagree with you, though. but-
And there are business owners that would disagree with those business owners. So let's be fair about this.
Yeah. There's two sides to it,
I have business owners that are on my forum that are not messing around. They don't have the median problem that the drive-through dairy has. But they like the crosswalk or the provision for pedestrian crossings.
Yeah.
They like the slower traffic, so it's not all bad.
No.
But there are safety issues in my view about this, and that are the pinch points. You have these areas of boulevard that suddenly just get necked down by curbs that just seem to suddenly they just bulb out.
Especially at some of the crosswalk areas.
And it happens out in the median too. You have these curved things out in the median that just suddenly get wider, and I'm afraid of somebody stuck between a fire truck or a delivery truck or something like that on a bicycle who's trying to take the lane, and all of a sudden they don't catch it at nighttime, especially. They're not well lit right now. So anyway, it's just I'm not completely condemning. By the way, I'm not completely condemning it. I think
I love
you mentioned at the council meeting that you would like to see it at least completed and tested.
I think we need to give it a chance. Yeah,
Okay, give it a chance.
I've seen the bulb out things very successful in downtown areas, it looks confusing right now. I think a lot of that confusion will go away once the lines get drawn on the pavement. The maze aspect of it will go away because it'll be clear delineation of where cars need to go and such. Like I said, in the council meeting, we did this in my hometown in the downtown area. We revitalized the downtown. This was long before I was an adult. This was when I was a kid. But
yeah, but this is Colorado, and they're all on weed over there. So.
Nah, they are now. They weren't then. I'll tell you what. It was. It's a different state.
I was
today.
in Colorado years ago, so
okay, well, yeah.
But have you seen where the crosswalks?
Yeah.
Where you get out into the center and it's not a straight, especially for somebody in a wheelchair. The zigzag.
Yeah. Why would you do that to
That's the
somebody
hover
in a
around
wheelchair?
driver's test.
I'll admit I haven't actually seen that those two 90-degree turns in the center median thing.
Yeah, go look.
I do really like the aspect of the rescue median, just in general. The fact that a pedestrian can cross halfway with only worrying about one lane of traffic, and then cross the other way, it adds a lot of safety.
But
I've had to cross that street with my kids at night, and it was a nightmare. But with those, it would be a lot easier.
The primary purpose, based on my research, of bulb outs is for pedestrian safety. You want to give them less time on the street.
Yeah.
You want to give them more view of the street by putting them partway into the street. So why would you take the crosswalk area for the handicap, for wheelchairs, and put a zigzag in it?
You know, I would be. I don't know how difficult it is for a wheelchair to get through that. I haven't heard firsthand if wheelchair handicapped people are having a hard time getting through those.
I haven't been in a wheelchair in a long time. But when I did have to use one,
I have been.
Turning is one of the hardest things to do. So I go out, turn right, go a few feet, and turn left.
Right.
Plus,
then turn right again.
Plus, you're keeping them in the street longer.
Well,
I thought maybe it was to target them, but no, I'm just...
No, okay.
Yeah, this is the one down by Alvord, right, or just past...
Both at Alvord and at
Sanders.
Sanders.
There's two of
and
them.
Sanders,
Yeah,
and it's like a little ziggy thing. Yeah, I'm trying to... Why is that? Well, you may want to slow the pedestrians or the wheelchairs down so you have a better chance of hitting them if you're a curb jumper.
Right, if you're a curb jumper. Are they? By the way, do you know? Are they going to cover the space between the curb and the bulb out?
I am not sure about that. Good question.
Such as like that.
I'll find out. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll find out.
We're running out of time.
I'm not sure.
We're going to have to have you back and talk about these bulb outs again. We want to thank you both for being here tonight. And next week, we hope to have Eddie Sanders and Mike Maurer with us. So join us next week.
And in the meantime, don't forget, you're watching KZGN-TV.
Hello, Deborah Lehey. Hello, sweetie. I'll be home soon.